gentlemen, welcome to episode 52 of Petey's Awesome Guest Panel. And again, I can't believe I reached 52. I didn't think I was going to reach 2, let alone 52. Now, before I introduce tonight's guest host, let me introduce you to tonight's co-host. First off, we have a returning guest co-host, Christopher Petey. Welcome.
Heyo.
And for the first time ever, guest co-host, John Paul.
What's up, guys?
Now, tonight's guest star is a blockbuster one. He is a WWE legend. He is a AEW, Impact, NWA alumni. He is a former WWE Cruiserweight champion and the final original Cruiserweight champion. He is also a former NWA Wisconsin X Division champion, as well as being a two-time former DDT Pro Wrestling Iron Man Heavy Metal champion, and was rated Rookie of the Year of 2007 for the Pro Wrestling Illustrated. And he's a man that I've been a fan of for many, many years. My guest at this time is Mr. Dylan Hornswoggle Postl. Dylan, welcome.
How are you?
How are you?
How are you guys? Very, very good. Very, very good. So,
right.
Chris over there, he's in the sun. He's gonna bake by the end of this.
Unfortunately, I couldn't make it to my house.
He's gonna have a real good tan line across his face there.
Mr. Dylan, I wanted to pay, as always, I always pay tribute to my guest stars, and of course, got the screen in the background to pay tribute to you, to pay homage. I would wear green too, but if I did, then you just see my face. And I don't think anyone wants to see that. The first question I'm going to ask you, sir, and this is a typical cliche question, is how did you get started into pro wrestling? Take me there.
My whole life, I was a wrestling fan. Since I was really, really young. It's been told a good amount of times now, but I've wrestling figures is actually what got me into wrestling, and playing with my brother's action figures. Just all I wanted to do and all I wanted to be a part of was professional wrestling since I was 4. So at that age, I told everyone that was going to be, that's what I was going to do. And that no matter what, that's what I was going to do. And it somehow worked out. When I was 17, I got trained by Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Anderson, whatever you want to call him, in Green Bay. And then it was off to the races, working independents in Wisconsin and Illinois. And then I started doing that in 2003, and then, or August of 2003, and then May of 2006, I got hired by WWE.
Very cool.
Yeah.
John, did you have a question for Mr. Postl?
I did, kind of bouncing off of Pete's original question. How difficult was it for you to get into professional wrestling? And I guess part 2 to that would be actually, yeah, we'll do the first part first. How difficult was it for you to get into pro wrestling?
I don't know if it was difficult. I always wanted to do it, and I never saw myself as a midget wrestler. I always wanted to be just a cruiserweight, a small cruiserweight. And at 17 years old, 18 years old, I could move a lot better than now when I'm 35 and been doing this for 20 years. But it's crazy. It's crazy to think back then of how, Ken took a chance on me, and it turned out to be this. I always told him I never wanted to be trained any different than any of the other guys. And as hard as it was sometimes, he put me through the ringer just like everyone else, which I completely respect. And I treat now in my school, I treat with everyone. Everyone gets trained the same exact way, no matter age, sex, anything. I train, we train everyone the same way.
Because normally when you think of a pro wrestler, you think of somebody who's totally not to be disrespectful in any way.
I don't know.
I know you're as tough as they come, but
I got birthed by Mae Young. I can't be offended by anything. But that's just it. Is the typical WWE superstars? They always said 6'2", 250. And I'm neither of those, obviously. So it's it comes down to like I was in the right place at the right time. They were looking for someone like me for Finley. Ken put his name out there for me, and we were off to the races. We literally, that's exactly how it was. I was working at Target on a Saturday. I quit on a Sunday to fly out on Monday. And they asked me when I said, hey guys, I'm traveling with WWE. I'm not going to be able to work here anymore. And they're like, oh, okay, so you'll be back like next weekend. I said, no, guys, I'm done. It sucks, but I'm done. And they didn't quite get it. And then I realized like a few months later how odd it must have been and how they probably don't hear a lot of I'm going to travel with World Wrestling Entertainment. I'm not coming back to Target. Like it's probably not a common thing. So it's I saw it. I understood why they were so confused. Besides family vacations, I haven't left I never left the Midwest. And 2 months later, I was going to the Philippines. If you asked me at that age where the Philippines was, you could have given me 97 guesses. No clue. No clue. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are some of your memories auditioning for WWE?
Man, you know that's such a huge statement. That's such a huge question, because I was there for 2 weeks under 10 years, and they told me when I got hired this is going to be a 6-month gig, and to somehow either spread it out to 6 months or to 10 years, or to stay under the radar for that long, I was either really lucky or I was doing an okay job. So there are so many memories. Like every year it's like broken down of the highest of highs, and then it would be a low. It was such a roller coaster for 10 years of my debut, and then it was a little lull, and then it was right into Cruiserweight champion, and then there wasn't really a lull there because then it was right into Vince's son, little lull, DX, little lull, this. It just was one thing after another, and it was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Very cool. And you mentioned your debut too. You debuted on the May 26, 2006 episode of SmackDown during a match between Finley and Paul Burchill. What were your memories of your debut on the main roster?
I talk about it in my book, which we'll talk about later too. Life is Short and So Am I, available now at dylanpostl.com. You can get your personalized autographed copies. But I think the biggest thing was during the rehearsal for the debut, I just kept flubbing it and messing up the whole thing, like the entrance and all of that for when they would first see me. So it was just the nervousness of, oh my God, we have to do this right. I'm just going to get one shot at it. Even though it was a taped show, I wanted to do it right the first time. But then it was so cool when it actually happened, because again, it was a taped show. So I would get to go home and watch it from home with my family, and just to see it finally happen was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And it was just something I never thought would happen.
Awesome. Christopher, you had a question for Dylan?
What were some of your memories working with Dave Finley?
Man, the relationship that we had truly was father and son. I text still to this day. I text him every Father's Day, Happy Father's Day. It's truly is father-son relationship. He looked out for me so many times. When he didn't have to. There was a lot of times where he went to bat for me in the locker room and to the office. And that's also why I think I never got hazed or bullied or ribbed very much, because people were afraid of dealing with him.
Rightfully so.
John?
I'm pretty sure you get this question a lot, but what was your favorite match you've ever done in the WWE and your least favorite match?
Easily the favorite thing I've ever done in my career is LC. I'll never do anything to touch that ever in my life. It was magic, purely magic, between 6 guys that just wanted to show that they should be on the main show in a main storyline. And it was just awesome. It was so awesome. The least favorite was probably they had me dressed as a cow on either Raw or SmackDown right after that. And it was just literally to see if I would do it with a smile on my face, and I did, just to kind of shove it up their ass, so to speak. And yeah, there was a few times when that happened, but man, I can't say anything negative. They gave me my dream for 10 years.
Awesome. And before I ask my next question, Dylan, I do want to point out another thing to add to your accolades too, which I forgot to mention before. My apologies on that. But you also were the winner of the Mini Royal Rumble.
Yeah, that was so much fun. I just asked about that the other day, and so that was one of the first things my son really like YouTubed of me. He was real young, and he doesn't see me as Hornswoggle or as Swoggle or anything. He just sees me as dad. But it's just, he saw that, and I remember him being like 3 years old, 4 years old, and asking me about it and like laughing like with it and everything, because it was just so it was a comical segment, and I think that was the time it made me like think like, oh, he now he realizes what I do.
I see. And you mentioned before the Vince McMahon illegitimate son angle. I want to get your memories of doing that angle, and of course working with Vince himself.
I should have asked Vince McMahon more questions. I should have probed, like, not probed him, but like, hey man, I always say like, hey, tell me stuff about nails, or how about this guy? And just like random questions that he would have loved to talk about. But I spent so much time with him, and getting set for backstage segments, or just going over stuff and just sitting and waiting. I should have picked his brain more, and it's something. It's like that's my only regret with WWE, is not picking his brain about random stuff. I don't care about like, hey man, how come I'm not getting pushed? I don't care at that point. I'm his son on TV every week. At that point, I want to know who decided the Berserker should come out with a shield and a sword. That's what I care about. And it's just random stuff like that, where it's stuff he was probably never asked or talked about, and would have happily answered it.
Very cool. John?
Just as a follow-up to the illegitimate son, when did you find out that role was going to go to you?
So I like kind of tell the whole story, that whole story in the book too, of like that day. It was I found out at 3:30 in the afternoon that day. Raw was set to go live at 8 o'clock. So it would have been 8 because we were in Green Bay, which is like my wrestling home. And it's so I found out at 3:30. Bruce Pritchard told me, and I was blown away, because again, I thought it was supposed to be Kennedy. Everyone did, and for it to be me was crazy.
See.
So when you found out that you were going to be the son, did you think it would have been a good idea, or how excited were you at the?
And I thought it would have been a great idea, because it was me. You could have told me anything at that point. I would have loved the idea, because it was me revealed as his son in the main event segment of Raw, knowing that angle wasn't going to get dropped in 1 week. Like I knew this was going to be a lasting thing. I didn't know where it would go,
Right,
how long it would go, or what it would lead to. I didn't think it would lead to the 15th anniversary of Raw, me being on 5 separate segments, like opening the show, 3 segments in the middle, including a pose down with Hulk Hogan, and then the closing segment, the closing shot of the night of the 15th anniversary of Raw, me pouring beer on Vince McMahon. Like, again, a kid from Oshkosh that shouldn't happen to. And it's just incredible. Like, absolutely incredible. That whole run was just nuts.
You can only imagine.
Yeah. Christopher? Christopher, you had a question?
Hang on. Sorry.
All right, while we're waiting on
Yeah.
Chris, Pete, don't you have any sponsors that you can shill?
Any what?
Sponsors. Like, who's sponsoring this episode?
Well, I mean, I got a bunch of stuff to shill. I'm the shilling king. Every Monday, go to twitch.tv/Dylan Postl. On my Twitch channel, we Twitch every Monday, sometimes Wednesday nights, sometimes Thursday nights, whatever I'm up for, whatever my schedule is up for. But every Monday night, we're having a blast. We are literally hit that follow button on the Twitch stream, and it's just, we call it Hot Take Monday because during the week I take notes on things in normal life that irritate the hell out of me and that a normal person would enjoy, from sriracha to chicken wings to writing checks in 2021. It's stuff that the normal person like doesn't get upset about, but it just grinds my gears. It's almost like the Peter Griffin grinds my gears in Family Guy. It's literally that for me, and it gets just the audio, and it's literally, I call it the weekly like virtual meet and greet on the channel because it's an all night Q&A. Last night, my son.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
You're all right. Last night, my son and I had our rubber match for Madden, and it ended in him winning and him getting 2 action figures of his choice. One being Kama Mustafa from the New Generation era. He that's what he wanted, so he won the game and he got that. And it's just it's a lot of fun. So that's my biggest thing. Also, DylanPostl.com for really all my merchandise. Pro Wrestling Tees store, but aside from the Pro Wrestling Tees, DylanPostl.com is absolutely like limited edition beer mugs, shirts that you can't get anywhere else, koozies, all this stuff on there, and then the book as well, where you can find out literally easily more about my life that's ever been revealed in any interview or anything. The book was such a project of mine and such like a heartfelt project. It was awesome.
Sweet. Chris, you're back. What was your question for Mr. Postl?
Yeah, were there any ideas going further with the illegitimate son angle from creative? I mean,
no. So the rumor has it that the match at Mania was actually supposed to be Vince versus Finley, and not JBL versus Finley, but that got dropped. And then I heard later on Something to Wrestle With, it was going to be possibly Vince versus Finley for the title. And I was like, Jesus, that would be very weird. But the Vince versus Finley thing was supposed to definitely be that. And it's almost like knowing that match, like knowing if it would have been that match, thinking of like how even bigger the buildup would have been to WrestleMania 24, it would have been even more nuts. Like, because Vince, he's not letting his match not be built up in the biggest way possible. But I love the JBL Finley buildup, and especially their match at WrestleMania 24 was just incredible and a show stealer to start the show. And it's such a forgotten match, and like because it was the first one of the night. And on that show, you also had Edge versus Undertaker in top 5 WrestleMania matches of all time, if not if not the best. So yeah, it's awesome.
I see. And Dylan, I always wondered this too. Like, had the situation between Ken Anderson never happened though, and he was picked as the son, what were the original plans for you?
I'm assuming just with Finley still. Like, it kind of went. I went away from Finley for a bit until the stuff with him and Vince, and then it was back with him. But I have no idea.
I see. And of course, you mentioned you worked with, of course, Hunter and Sean, though, what were your memories in 2009 working with Triple H and Shawn Michaels and being the DX mascot?
Again, I found that out at, I think it was like 4:30, 5 o'clock that day. And it just happened. I was supposed to be in a match. It was supposed to be me versus Chris Masters, I believe. And then Chavo was going to randomly save me. And it all got changed to me joining the DX stuff.
I see. And what were your memories of working with Hunter and Sean? Hunter and Sean.
Again, I just wish I wish I would have picked their brains more, but it was awesome. Like, I got to be X-Pac. In my mind, every night I was X-Pac doing the X-Pac pyro. It was the coolest thing ever. Overseas, doing the X-Pac pyro. On house shows in the States, X-Pac pyro. It was the best, the absolute best.
That was awesome. And of course, you nailed that role. Absolutely incredible being the mascot. No problem. Christopher?
What were some of your memories working with Brodus and Albert in 2012?
It was just Brodus. Him and Tenzai split up. They weren't together yet, but just Brodus. It was fun. Like, it was such a fun time. We just had fun with it every night. Just being just silly, absolutely silly. I think we worked Primo and Epico and Hunoko and Camacho more than anyone else. It was literally every night on the live events. But it was fun. It was so much fun. The whole time with Brodus. We always got along great, and it was always a good time.
Sweet. John?
Aside from Vince, who came up with the idea for you to be the anonymous general manager in 2012?
So I pitched it in promo class, actually to Vince, about 2 months before the GM thing, maybe a little farther than that. And then we had promo class, and he had me do like practice promos in it, and then it was revealed, like, again 2 months later, it's gonna happen. And then what happened on the show that day wasn't the original plan. It was supposed to be a huge reveal and a heel turn by me and a completely new character of talking and just this completely crazy character, but it didn't happen. They didn't believe in it, and again, up till 6 o'clock it was supposed to be happening, and then it got canceled. So we just did the reveal that was on TV, which was the biggest drop ball and the biggest like fart in church reaction ever. It's just, but again, it's memorable. People remember that happened.
They really don't give you guys a lot of time to prepare for things if you're only finding out about it at 6 o'clock and the show goes on at 8. Wow.
And like, it's just, I mean, stuff gets canceled. I've had stuff get canceled in Gorilla. We're at the curtain and it just gets canceled, or, hey, we don't have time for it. It's not going to happen. Maybe next week. 3 or 4 times. And it's just stuff like that where at times you learn to not get excited about something, but be surprised if it does happen, if that makes sense. It's a very negative way to think, but sometimes you have to.
Show business.
I have before I ask another question, though, I'm just curious because you mentioned gorilla position. Though I know we all know that Vince McMahon is always in the gorilla position, but who else was in the gorilla position like during your time?
It would be whoever is producing the segment, producer-wise, and then who's ever doing the times. It was just and then the head writer for that segment. So it was always a constant rotation of people. Literally, it would be 4 people and then the talent in the segment. But it's always a constant rotation of a writer and producer and time.
Oh, okay. And now I gotta ask you this too, Dylan, because I love the draft shows, like WWE draft shows.
Yeah.
And you were part of 3 consecutive drafts. You were in the supplemental drafts for 3 consecutive years. You were drafted to ECW in 2008. You were drafted to Raw in 2009. And in 2010, you were drafted back to SmackDown. Are the wrestlers informed before the draft where they're going to be going, like on a televised and supplemental?
I had no idea. The first one was on TV. The ECW one was on TV. So I remember Finley and I were in the ring. But the other 2 were completely supplemental and just me. And none of us had any clue. We never, I'm sure top guys know. But none of like mid to low card guys have no idea. And it's literally, I mean, it's a change of writing partners. It's a change of schedules. It's a change of life. And so it was pretty crazy how that stuff would go down. I remember I was drafted to ECW and I had to go on Tuesday. That next day, I was supposed to fly home. I had to go that next day. Wow. It was literally a change of life. I had to change all my plans, everything back home. So it's pretty crazy how that stuff happens.
I see. And Christopher, before you ask next question, I just want to say to Dylan that, aside from being a huge, like a big WWE star, like you are also a huge fan of the Muppet series. And of course, you actually took part in a Muppet movie.
Absolute fanatic all my life. And being able to be a part of the Muppets Most Wanted was absolutely awesome. It was a dream come true.
Oh, okay. And I did want to ask you too, as a fan of the original of Jim Henson, of the 3 original movies, the Muppet Movie, The Great Muppet Caper, and Muppets Take Manhattan, which of the 3 was your favorite?
The original Muppet Movie is by far probably my favorite movie of all time. There's nothing to me that touches it. It's just it holds a special place in my heart. That is every like 2 to 3 month watch for me at some point, whether it be like sit down and watch it all and just watch it, or it's in the background. It's always on. Like I always, it just holds a special place to me.
Same here. And your favorite Muppet is the animal, right?
Always, always has been.
Because mine will always be Dr. Teeth. I always loved Dr. Teeth, especially when he was making a rock band on the bus in The Great Muppet Caper. I thought that was an awesome scene. And of course, you were actually part of the Raw that featured the Muppets. What were your memories filming that episode of Raw with the Muppets as the guest stars, as a guest host?
I remember literally going to Twitter, as much as I hated Twitter and didn't understand at the time, and doing like Hornswoggle with Muppets or Swoggle with the Muppets, something like that, and like making it trend as much as possible. And we made it happen. I got literally 7 tattoos. No, I think it was 12 or 13 tattoos in 7 days of different Muppets leading up to that Raw. And it was crazy. It was absolutely awesome. Like that was my day. I know, like that day, no one could take anything away from me. It was awesome. It was just, and I literally had that one segment with him, but it felt like hours that I spent with him. Literally, just talking to the performers and watching everything kind of happen. And Vince McMahon doesn't take pictures with a lot of the guest hosts. I only saw him take one the whole time, and that was with the Muppets, because of how much of a fan of Jim Henson's work and the whole thing, the whole just drive of the Henson brand. Vince was a huge fan of that, and so he took a picture with the Muppets, and like it was this huge photo shoot like setup, and I was like, I'm getting in there as soon as Vince is done. I'm getting in there. So it was like Vince took one, and then him and like Hunter took one, and Stephanie took one, and I was like, no one's getting ahead of me in this line. He's like, no one's next. I jumped the line, and I got right in there. It was awesome.
Sweet. And now you've had many WrestleMania moments, and this is going to lead to the next question, John.
All right, tell me a little bit about your memories of your WrestleMania 23 spot with Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, that was
the ladder.
That was that's like the highlight of that Mania. You have that. You have Jeff Hardy going through the ladder, putting Edge through the ladder, and then you have John Cena crashing through the wall. But it's like those are the highlights of that WrestleMania, and they're in every package of all time. And it's like, man, it's just nuts to me to think about. It's. I mean, Ken trained me. He got me my job. He got me there, and then to have that moment of that moment of that match, that's something that's never gonna go away, and that's easily first three things any interview asks me about. It's that, DX, and WLC every time. And it's just, man, it's because it's like a highlight. It is such a highlight, and it's a memory that everyone remembers. And it all came together so well. I have a picture of like each of my WrestleMania moments, and it's that picture of him holding me on top of the ladder is so, it's like ingrained in my head. I literally can picture it like it was yesterday, and just remember everything about it. And it's just awesome to have my family and friends there, and like just literally have the guy that did everything for me on top of a ladder, and just, all right, here we go. It's gonna be the craziest bump of my life. And it was, and it still is, but it worked out so perfectly, and it got such a huge reaction. I'm so very, very proud of it.
Awesome. And you meant like another WrestleMania moment you had, of course, was at WrestleMania 28, where you were the mascot for Team Teddy in the Team Teddy Long versus Team John Laurinaitis match. Memory of doing that match, and a follow-up question is, did Eve Torres and Zack Ryder get along backstage?
They got along great. Everyone got, I mean, I don't know anyone that Eve Torres and Zack Ryder didn't get along with. They were awesome. It was that whole thing was, I was like, hey, I need to get on WrestleMania somehow. Vicky is with the bad guys. I need to be with the good guys. I pitched it. It got accepted instantly. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm now on WrestleMania. I wouldn't have been on that year, but I worked my way on, and it just worked out perfectly. I had a spot in the match and everything. It was great. It's absolutely great.
Awesome. Hey, Chris, next question.
So thoughts on the process behind and not talking, and why your character didn't talk until like the 2011 Christmas episode of SmackDown, where you won a battle royale that allows you one wish, and which was being able to speak. So
I was told from Jump Street, you're not going to talk. You're gonna mumble and grumble and this, that, and the other thing. And I was, again, I'm not going to argue much, because I'm on TV every week living a dream. There's not much to argue at that point. But after a while, it got old. After a while, it was like, okay, now what? Now how can we make this like better? And I needed to talk. It just came down to, I needed to talk. And I would pitch every week, literally every week, till the writers were just annoyed by me. And I'm sure Vince was annoyed by me. And just, I need to talk, guys. Here's this idea. Okay, you don't like that one? Well, because of this, well, here's this. You don't like that one? Well, here's this. And it just, I wanted it to happen. And then finally it did. There was so many ideas. Again, day of television, where it'd be like, yep, we're going to make this happen. This is how it's going to happen. Day of TV, stuff got changed. It's not happening. Awesome. So it just, but it happened. And then I was like, they can't take this away from me. And they kept like, I know there was like thoughts of, let's take it away. And I was like, no, I'm not letting this happen. Like, I'll fight for this. I can't go back to it. And it's man, it was refreshing to be able to talk like a normal human.
Cool. And Chris, before you ask your next question too, Dylan, you've worked with many different promotions after leaving WWE, and it's going to lead to the next question though. Christopher?
What have been your memories of working in Impact or working with Impact Wrestling?
Yeah, Impact has always been fun. Whether it be my first run with Spud, Drake Maverick, whatever we call him these days, was such a talent and deserves to be on television every week. He's just a character through and through. And then you go to this latest kind of run. I got to work with two of my best friends, Kurt Hawkins. I call him Brian Myers, whatever people call him these days. I got to work with him and have a banger of a match, and just so much fun in front of no crowd, which is the hardest thing ever, and we still killed it. And then dressing up as AJ Styles against Ethan Page, who I blatantly called Julian because we're just friends. And I was like, I looked across the ring from him and I just yelled his real name, and they didn't cut it out. And I was like, okay. But it's just, we got to the back and he goes, "Did you call me Julian?" I said, "Yeah." I don't know why, but it was just one of those things that happened. And man, it's Impact was so much fun. I had an absolute blast there.
Sean?
Can you share any memories of your cameo on AEW Dynamite during the Inner Circle Slay Las Vegas trip?
Yeah, man, I flew in. I think I landed at 11 a.m. I shot my segment or my part of that at 3 p.m. and I flew back out at 8 p.m. So I was there literally less than 12 hours. And it was I was in Las Vegas less than 12 hours. There wasn't much time there. But actually next month I'm taking my son. He's a huge AEW fan. I'm going to take him to the Dynamite. It's in Milwaukee. So I'm going to actually bring him there. He's pumped. He doesn't know, but he's been hinting at it. So he'll be blown away when it actually happens. I'm not telling him till the day of, though.
Chris?
All right. We know you've actually worked with him before, but you have said in an interview that the one, the only, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy is the most entertaining wrestler today. What do you enjoy most about him?
Everything. What's not to enjoy? Man, he's fun. You can't watch him. Like, I can't. Sorry. I feel like Orange Cassidy, you're either completely for him or like you just don't get him. Like, you just don't get it. And I love him. Like, I absolutely love him. The stuff last week with him and Sting, I was dying laughing. It's just so much fun to watch to me. And I'm so glad now there's a crowd. I can't imagine for the him and Jericho stuff if that would have been done in front of a crowd. Like, how crazy of a reaction he would have gotten, and he would have been an even bigger star than he is now. I enjoy him. That's also like a match that, because my mind is in 50 different places every day between my schedule and my school that I run, and my company, ACW Wisconsin, and my son and his schedule and his school and his sports and just life. I always like kind of forget about the Orange Cassidy match because it was so kind of early into my independent run post WWE. And it's like, it's one of the most talked about matches I've ever had. And it's always one of those like, oh my God, that was so much fun, because I went into it not knowing about Orange Cassidy fully, and him explaining to me what Orange Cassidy was, and me going, come on, man, like, okay. And then people just blowing the roof off for his stuff. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Like, it was awesome. So he is still one of my favorite wrestlers to watch today.
Very cool. And before I ask the next question, Dylan, I do want to ask because did you in AW did you work together with MJF?
No, I think I wrestled him in AIW in Cleveland. I know MJF though through Brian Myers being his trainer. So I've seen MJF literally from almost day one, and he's a guy I'm incredibly proud of. That's a star right there.
So I was trying to get to see if this guy is anything like his outside character, because it's hard to see him break kayfabe. He's one of those rare characters that doesn't break kayfabe. He sticks to his character.
God. Thank God there's still one of them here and there.
I have to ask you this too, Dylan. When I'm not doing a strict dieting, I am a huge foodie. I love to eat. And this is going to lead to my next question. What was the catering scene like in WWE, Impact, and AEW?
AEW, I have no idea because I was literally just in the hotel and then left.
Okay.
WWE, it was awesome. Literally every week was just a full spread of absolutely everything. It was great. Impact was not so great, but they provided food for us, and that's what matters. But yeah, WWE, I never have anything to complain about the catering. Awesome food at all times on TV days, TV and pay-per-view days.
Did you have a favorite meal from the catering?
Anything, literally anything.
Sweet. And I have a couple of questions before we conclude too. You were familiar with like Royal Rumbles because you appeared in a couple of them. In 2008, you appeared in it. And I think in 2011, was there a spot between you and Alex Riley?
I don't think so.
Okay. But in the 2008 one, what were your memories of doing the 2008 Royal Rumble? And of course, how was the setup though, like between like the cues of how the wrestlers, know when to go out there? Are they like in Gorilla waiting to be called on, or?
Yeah. I mean, they line everyone up in their order essentially, except the surprises. The surprises, not even the guys in the match know. That's kind of the coolest part. The Royal Rumble is easily my favorite pay-per-view all year, even more than WrestleMania. So to be part of, 2 or 3 of them was an absolute honor and just so much fun. It was again, one of those pinch me moments, getting an entrance in a Royal Rumble in 2011, I think that was. And just, it was just crazy, just absolutely crazy. And I was part of Royal Rumbles. In the 2008 one, also getting an entrance in that one, and I think I was at the Garden, Madison Square Garden, and I was like, I get an entrance in my own entrance, not with anyone, in a Royal Rumble in the Garden. This is the coolest moment ever. But it was just, Royal Rumbles are the best. They are the absolute best. They're just fun to watch because you never know what's going to happen.
Cool. And did you enjoy working with Heath Slater and Titus O'Neil with Slater Gator?
I have to say yes.
Okay.
Because I can't complain about about anything. I was on television. I was on TV. I can't. People would just give their life for that spot. So there's not much I should complain about with that. It wasn't my favorite, but I was still on television.
Cool. And again, you worked with Heath Slater again in the 3-man band. What was the memories working out with 3-man band?
That was, I mean, again, that led to the WLC and the greatest night of my life. It was just awesome working with Jinder and Drew and Heath, 3 guys that had so much drive and heart for what they were doing, and to see their careers continue all over the place. I'm very, very happy that I could say I worked with those 3 guys.
Okay. Now this is gonna be another cliche question, but did you prefer working as a baby face or a heel?
Babyface.
Okay.
I liked working as a heel because it meant I got to wrestle. All I wanted to do was actually wrestle, and I got to against El Torito nightly, 5 nights a week, and it was absolutely awesome. But man, it was just fun. Those nights working with Finley and just the fun we would have was a blast.
Now, I always wondered this too, though. Why did they change your name from Little Bastard to Hornswoggle? Why did they change it?
Can't put Little Bastard on a toy and sell it at Toys R Us, bud.
Oh, fair enough. That's fair. That's fair. And also, I gotta ask you this too, because I remember watching this and I died laughter of this one. Your memories of crashing Teddy Long and Crystal Marshall's wedding.
Again, that was during the Vince's son stuff, and it was like during this huge wedding segment, they're making me like a focal point of it. Literally, my own entrance to it, a whole part during the wedding. It's just, man, I'm just so happy for all of that stuff, and so just grateful that all that stuff happened in my career, especially during that Vince angle. Just every week was something new.
Cool. And I mentioned earlier that the Iron Man Heavy Metal Championship, is that like similar to the WWE Hardcore Champion or the current 24/7 Championship or no?
Yeah, it was very, very similar to that. DDT had that title, and a bunch of people have held it, a bunch of big names have held it, and so it was neat to do something with that and have my name on that title lineage for DDT, a company that I've always been a huge fan of. So to be able to interact with that title and again have my name on that is pretty awesome.
Cool. John, Christopher, do you guys have any other questions you want to ask Dylan?
Chris, you first.
I'm kind of thinking that do you suppose that there was a more you could have done with your character or while you were in WWE?
I think definitely could have done more heel stuff at some point. Once they let me talk, we could have explored that and just to see if it would have worked. The worst that could happen, it doesn't work, and then the next week we change it. But I wish I would have gotten a shot at more heel stuff as I could talk. That's really it, though. Again, I was there for 10 years. Just incredible moment after incredible moment. My last match was untelevised in Green Bay with my dad in the front row and my son coming into the ring after the match. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
I have 2 questions for you.
Yeah, man.
First, were there any ideas that you pitched to Vince or any of the producers that you really wish would have been greenlit but weren't for whatever reason?
I think the original GM, anonymous GM pitch that I had, and that was supposed to happen, just didn't pan out. I think that would have been that's really the only one that I really, really wish would have happened. Nothing else really.
You've had, for lack of a better term, an incredible career.
Yeah, man.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people that want to follow in your footsteps, especially those that you train in your school.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice that you would give to people that want to follow that want to follow what you did and become a wrestler? Like, what advice would you give them?
First thing I tell people, all of our students, on day one, is make little goals. Little goals are attainable. Making a goal of I want to work for WWE. There's not much you can do to control that if we're being honest with ourselves. Make little goals, and because little goals are achievable, and when you achieve a goal, it makes you feel really, really good about yourself and really like you've accomplished something. So that's kind of like the biggest thing. That's in life too, though. So it's stuff like that. where, and then the farther you get along in that path, in the path of professional wrestling, your goals will naturally get bigger as it goes. And so I think that's the best advice I can give.
Dylan, I do want to like say too that you've had an incredible career though. Like you surpassed like some names like Lord Littlebrook and Dink the Clown. Like you had a great 10-year run though. Like aside from your wrestling school, what current projects are you working on right now?
It's ACW Wisconsin, my independent company out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Shows literally every month, sometimes twice a month. It used to be every other month or quarterly, and now our schedule is just nuts. You can follow it at acwwisconsin.com, facebook.com/acwwisconsin for all upcoming events, announcements. We just had a huge Water City Wrestling Con event in April. It was absolutely crazy, and we just announced next May is our next big one, but we have huge shows the whole rest of the year. My Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Dylan Postl. We're having so much fun there. Like I said earlier, it's a community. That Twitch channel has turned into such a community of fun and just constant laughs, and revealed like a lot of stuff about goings on in my life on there. ACW inside stuff, my inside stuff. So it's a lot of fun every week. And then filling orders for DylanPostl.com. Everything's literally filled from me, by me. It's very DIY, and I love it that way, where you make an order. I literally see it come through the emails. I fill it immediately, send it out, pack it all myself. It's just something I really enjoy doing, and it's fun.
Cool. Of course, Mr. Postl, this is the part of the show where, like, since my show is an open forum, you can talk about anything you like. You can say anything you want. The floor is now yours, sir.
I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you very much. This has been a blast. Nice and quick and fun and jovial. Thank you guys so very much.
No problem.
Very much.
No problem. And I just want to say too, sir, before we conclude that, not just you're a WWE legend, but you are also a very influential person. And by that, I mean, when I was younger, like I told you, I was a fan of yours since I was 16.
Yeah.
I'm 31 now. I used to have a baby, like a cousin though. And like because he looks just like me, just like how like you and Finley kind of look like we're kind of like similar to, we had like the Finley Hornswoggle relationship. Like, so I just want to share that with you. It's like that. And also being a guy that's 5'6" though, I kind of find like your persona to be very influential too, though, especially because I'm 5'6" and I was in high school with Land of the Giants. So
yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
And nobody like I took your personality to heart, and I survived it.
That's awesome. Good to hear, man.
And also one final thing, because we have been fans of yours for a long time, and we think this is something that you absolutely deserve, and that is, thank you, Swoggle. Thank you, Swoggle.
Guys, thank you. You guys have a good night, all right?
You too. Have a nice night, and thank you again, sir. It was an honor.
Thank you.
Take care.